Current students are the generation responsible for stopping the bleed. They will come of age and mature economically, professionally, and personally in a global setting that is defined by the issue of global climate change. They must protect the environment and put in place sustainable practices, live with the potentially compromised health if the air, soil, and water qualities are not protected. They will benefit from developing skills that will be in line with local and global economies that will prioritize career involved in the global climate job market.
The impacts of climate change are here and now. In Atlanta, we are fortunate to be relatively far from the coast, so we're not having to deal with as much of the damage and danger from increasing tropical storms and hurricanes that our neighbors in Florida and coastal Georgia are. However, it would be hard not to notice that our summers are getting hotter. Heat-related deaths are the #1 weather-related killer in the United States, which many people don't realize. Unhoused people and those without access to air conditioning are among the highest risks for these deaths, and we will continue to see these deaths increase as the climate warms and our summers get hotter. At GSU, we have many students who have family and friends in different countries that are being heavily impacted by climate change. That can create a lot of stress and anxiety for these students who are worried about their loved ones. We've seen the news about deadly droughts, floods, and other climate catastrophes happening worldwide, and all of these have direct impacts on our GSU community, even though they may not be happening right here in Atlanta. Unfortunately, the younger you are, the more likely it is that you will be directly impacted by climate change in your lifetime. So a lot of our students will experience impacts firsthand at some points in their lives.
The awareness of climate changes is rapidly shaping the future of our economy, businesses, and our professions. Those that cannot develop a sustainable business model will find it very, very difficult and costly to survive or continue their operation. Therefore, it is very important for our students to learn from very young, very beginning, how to develop or help businesses, either their employers or clients, develop a sustainable business model. For example, in real estate, a lot of these properties, both residential and commercial buildings, are facing increasing flood and other catastrophic risks from changing climate. A lot of old rules in investing and managing real estate investments have become obsolete. It is important for today's students to learn sustainability in order to fare well in tomorrow's business world.
I think today's students have grown up in a period of increased public concern and greater transparency about the threat of climate change. They've seen many examples of grassroots, youth, and indigenous climate justice movements, as well as new climate-focused legislation. So they have ample reasons to be anxious about their futures, as well as some reasons to look forward with hope. This year's Inflation Reduction Act, in particular, has the theoretical potential to generate a boom in green industry, which will shape students' employment prospects in ways we can only begin to imagine. At the same time, Gen Z is tired of all the dithering, as well as all the familiar scripts about personal responsibility and consumer ethics, and they should be. They need and deserve new scripts for living and actionable climate policy that will help them make sense of their experiences and give them a sense of purpose as the conditions for life itself promise to degrade. I think art and literature can do some of the work generating these new scripts.
Climate change and its impacts are affecting the entire Earth and every living organism on our planet. Therefore, our students at Georgia State are also being affected by the effects of climate change. For example, students who live in the Metro Atlanta area are directly exposed to the increased intensity of heat waves, flooding, drought, and tornadoes, just to mention a few climate-related events. Although most of the events that I mentioned have an evident impact on us, people may think of drought as a distant and less intense type of event. However, drought can be a silent and dangerous hazard that directly impacts GSU students and access to water and affordable food. This is because drought affects soil moisture and water reservoirs, impacting water availability and agriculture, which results in water shortages and increased food prices. More expensive food limits our students' access to healthy food, such as vegetables and fruits, which directly impacts their quality of life.
Our students are coming of age in an increasingly globalized world, marked by growing wealth, but greater awareness of the costs involved in generating that wealth. Students face choices about how to live, and those choices have impacts. And there's always some uncertainty about what might happen. Students must figure out what to eat, and especially whether to eat meat. They must determine whether to own a car, which car to own, where to live, what career to pursue, what clothes to wear, whom to have as a partner, whether to have children, how to raise children, and even something as seemingly inconsequential as whether and where to vacation. Each of these determine what shape a life will have. Each of these has profound implications for how one's life goes. Each of these involves difficult trade-offs. Climate impacts are just one among many trade-offs. Thinking carefully about this helps us get clearer on the stakes.
One of the ways students are affected is in their everyday choices. A lot of students have probably heard about their ecological footprint, which is the impact of all of our choices and activities on the environment. And many of us know what we are supposed to do to reduce our ecological footprint. We're supposed to drive less, take public transportation, eat less meat, eat organic, and things like that. The list goes on and on. But the thing is, and I think it's especially relevant for students, that oftentimes making these more environmentally friendly choices costs more money. The average student can't necessarily afford fair trade, ethical, organic products, or they might aspire to take public transportation, but maybe the public transit doesn't even go near their place of work. And they've got to get to work on time, maybe they have kids to pick up. So I think it is frustrating for students and people in general to feel like they want to help, but that their options are limited by this system we are stuck in, which doesn't really give the space to slow down and evaluate our choices and enable us to make changes. So this is again where the concept of environmental justice comes in, because it's not just about making people aware that there are more environmentally friendly choices, but also giving people the wherewithal to be able to make these choices. And so this is yet another demonstration of how solving the environmental crisis will require a more holistic approach. True and lasting environmental justice will have to address all the other areas of injustice too, so that everybody is empowered to make different choices.
Climate change has dramatic effects on students at Georgia State. More extreme weather makes commuting and learning harder for students at Georgia State. Additionally, many of our students come from places that are dramatically impacted by climate change. They live in coastal areas, areas that are threatened by larger, stronger hurricane damage, heat, and sea level rise. Students need to be in a safe place, and they need to feel that their hometowns are in a safe place. This threat of climate change increases the anxiety that we have as a community here for our hometowns and the people that we love in other places. This is an ethical issue for our students and for us, because we have some of the best means and the best power to make these changes and help these people that we love.